Hey, this is Mike with 4,000 Weeks, and you're watching People of Passion. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mike from 4,000 Weeks and Going Nowhere, and this is my segment called People of Passion. People of Passion is where I bring local artists down here into my studio, Mik'd Up Studios. We get to know each other. I ask some questions, get to know a little bit about the band, and then we capture some live performances here in the studio for everyone to see. The Creeping Chaos has been in the local scene here in Metro Detroit for over a decade now. I remember seeing these guys live for the first time 6 years ago at Riff Fest, maybe even a little bit longer. So thank you guys for the work you've done in the local music community and being around here for such a long time for us to listen to. I'm going to start off by introducing you to Rob of the Creeping Chaos, and he is the lead singer and guitar player. And then we can let the rest of the band introduce themselves.
I'm Derek, D Unit. I'm bass guitar and attempted background vocals.
I'm Stacy, the drummer.
I'm Donnie, the guitar player.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with me here in the studio.
Thank you for having us.
So let's start off by telling the viewers just like a little bit about the band, you know, like what's your style? Where did you kind of get your roots? Where did you get started? You know, like where does the Creeping Chaos come from?
Well, the name comes from my love of H.P. Lovecraft's written works and everything like that, and our style is basically just a nice raw kind of hard rock sound. I'm personally influenced a lot by more grunge than I'm starting to realize. I'm more into that than I realized I was at the time, and we just really do things kind of like sort of in the vein of Metallica and Rob Zombie and Power Man 5000 with like a little dash of System of a Down in there almost.
Oh yeah.
But you still hear like kind of classic rock hooks that you would have heard like in the 70s and even some stuff that might even fit into some 60s stuff.
Yeah, I love that about your guys' music. There's a lot of like just hooky riffs too. It's like, you know, a lot of times like thrash metal and like metal music will just be like kind of like 1, 2, 3, go, and then but you guys will have like a melodic hook that kind of brings the audience in, and then it does pick up and it does keep it fun and energetic, but then it creates something like dynamic about each individual song that kind of makes you remember it. I really like that. So
I grew up listening to a lot of actual concept album stuff with my dad. We used to listen to Alan Parsons Project and stuff, and they always had a nice long intro to things. Mm-hmm. And I'm also a fan of Insane Clown Posse, and they always had a lot of cool in-between things that kind of would build up a song before it started, and so I think that drama is something we try to worm into our albums when we do things too.
Yeah, we always were like, is the intro too long? And we look, it's like 1 minute and 22 seconds on the track, and we're like, but it's like, yeah, writing a nice, really cool intro is so fun, and then
it sets up the world.
It tells a story, and then the words come in and like executes the story. So that's a great topic, kind of like you mentioned, like what you were listening to, you know, like growing up and stuff like that. Like, so for each of you, like what are kind of like the influences that like led you? I mean, I listen to Backstreet Boys sometimes, and then also Metallica. So not that defines you, but you know, kind of that was originally in your ear.
I was in. My dad had a record collection. Like everybody would come over to the house. Yeah. Our babysitter when I was a kid, you know, lived next door, and he would come over and between my dad, our babysitter, and my mom, I listened to stuff from, like I said, Alan Parsons Project, Pink Floyd, Queen, to, you know, the babysitter. I know I keep bringing it up, but I mean, he was like the main influence. You know, that was in his time. It was like Def Leppard, Dokken, you know, the start of like all the hair bands and stuff like that, and that's what really drug me into it.
Nice.
And then my mom, who listened to like Bruce Springsteen, Rod Stewart, some of the stuff that my dad listened to back in the day, but man, it's like the whole variety of everything, and it just, everything, you know. But what made me want to play guitar or even want to be a musician was the tribute album, Randy Rhoads' tribute album. My older brother got that, and we listened to it, and I was looking through the, all the pictures and stuff like that inside the vinyl, and that's when I'm like,
Yeah,
I wanna be
there's
that
like
guy.
a switch that
Yeah,
flips,
that was the
when you know-
switch.
when you know
that
it's
right
just
there
like,
was the switch for me.
Okay. So what about you?
Yeah, so I started out as a jazz drummer in high school,
Oh, nice.
but I was kind of rhythmic my whole life. My grandpa got me a little bass drum when I was 2 years old, so I was kind of just rhythm is what inspired me. I don't really have a specific band that I would say kind of spurred it, but one of the first drummers that was in the metal-ish scene that I was inspired by was the Rev from Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh, he's so good.
So
It's-
that's kind of was I kind of thought that my early style resembled his. So that was kind of I drew a lot of inspiration from him.
Yeah.
And then I mean my music taste is all over the map. You can kind of hear that in the album. So jazz to metal to even a little bit of 80s synth pop.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but that's like what makes it fun is because it's still heavy, but then it like you can
Yeah,
groove
like-
to it. You got to be able to move to the music. Like the drums can, like move 100,000 people if it's the right beat. You know what I mean? It's so
Yeah.
important to hit that groove.
When I was about 12, my dad burned a CD for me. It had like 3 Days Grace, Godsmack, all that stuff. So that was early rock roots, you know.
Yeah, there's like a common theme in like the interviews that I've done so far is that like grunge is a huge impact and people don't realize it like as much as they do, and then just that like that early's rock. It's probably partially the age of people I'm talking to, but that early 2000s rock with like the Godsmack and stuff, like it was kind of like the last like big spurt of like rock and roll being really good. Because like after that, we kind of like we're all like waiting for like the next thing, you know. Like, but that'll get you so hooked. Like I still listen to all those songs.
Yeah, to me,
all the
it's got to
time.
be driving and it's got to have that soul.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I get bored with it, you know.
Yeah.
About you, Donnie?
Kiss was the first band. I think I was like 5. But then my dad listened to the old weird, whiskey drinking country. So I grew up on that, and I had 2 sisters, so they listened to ABBA, Foreigner, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kiss did it for me.
They're so rock and roll. I mean, they were, and like you guys put on a good show too. Like that's one thing I've always tried to like get better at is like, it's like, all right, well, there's 30 million songs a year that come out on Spotify. There's how many bands that play at local shows, and it's just like, well, how do you like put on a show that makes people like go like, wow, I'm so glad. Like you guys like put on a show. It's like you're watching it. It's not just the music. It's the way you're moving across the stage and you're big creepy guy walking around and it's like you're the colors where you guys match, and like Kiss like did that. Like they like they almost defined that. Like it's hard to think of somebody before that, maybe Alice Cooper, that kind of like put on that.
We're all big
That's-
Alice Cooper
yeah.
fans.
Yeah,
all
like
of us.
oh, it's insane.
That's a
I
big part
didn't
of it.
see him until like only a few years ago. And I was
Still
like,
great.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
still
I was like,
great.
are you kidding me? Like this guy is. I'm like googling his age while I'm watching it. Like what? Like
Yeah, and he still
But-
sounds good. He still
yeah.
sounds good.
Oh,
It's-
it was great, and it was a
Bang
great show. Like it's fun to go to those shows. So it's like and that's cool to like that. Like Kiss is an influence of yours, and then you end up in a band later on that kind of like has that showmanship, where it's like fun to go see, and you can't just show up and play.
Oh, that's
you
the
have to-
worst.
I wasn't like that when I
I
first started.
did, yeah.
I was not
People
like
just
that.
stand there. They're just wearing their shorts and a t-shirt, like kind
Oh,
of thing.
yeah.
That's all they're doing. They're just staring at the crowd. Yeah.
Oh
We
yeah,
all-
I
we
mean,
try.
and
to
it could be the
avoid
best song ever.
Yeah.
And it's just like if they're not like if they don't bring it, it's like you don't even feel
I
it.
think it defeats the point of music if you're not feeling it when you're playing it.
that. I
Yeah.
might as well stay home and listen to the record. if
Well,
we
because
don't-
then you can at least like daydream about what it feels like to you,
Yeah.
and like
I've got
get
lights
going.
in my room.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But that's what's the cool part. Like, going to see like shows and like having if a band like broke a song down like in the center and added something, that extra thing that you get from seeing live shows.
Yeah,
is cool.
it-
We don't overproduce it, I don't think. Because I mean,
no. It's just a good show. It's like
You know?
a good balance is everything. Like I mean, people find that in every bit of life, not just like music, but in music, it's the same thing. Like it could be too heavy, it could be too light, it could be too fast, it could be too slow. It's like, but then it's like there could be too much of a show where it's like it's gimmicky.
Yeah,
right. I guess
No,
yeah.
I mean, it's like it. So it's
You give them little dashes of extra flavor,
Mm-hmm.
and that keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen, and we try to change it up sometimes if we can.
yeah. No, I've noticed that. Like I've been to quite a few of your shows now, and it's not.
We never
the
do
same.
the same set list.
Yeah, that's a good thing too. And you have to have a diverse, chunk of music to do that. I mean, right now that's like one of the original bands we're in. We're kind of rounding our like 10th and 11th song together. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, you can only play so many sets with that many songs.
Right.
So that being said, like, you got your influences, seems very diverse. Do you do any cover songs when you play live? Is it just usually all originals? Like, do any of them influences pop up on stage?
With this lineup, we haven't done any covers.
We've jammed a few out of practice, but just for fun.
Nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
We might.
You have so much original material. Sometimes it's fun to throw.
Yeah, we don't really
in.
need to. We've got like 30 songs we can do. So.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah, so how many albums does the Creeping Chaos have in total now?
We have 3 now.
3, okay, and those are all available online.
You can get them online. You can get them at Spotify, and they're all available at Rock of Ages in Garden City, off of Ford Road.
That's a legendary store, so definitely stop in and visit Rock of Ages.
One of the best record stores ever, and it's just as old as I am.
Yeah, it's been there.
No comment.
It's a it's a relic here in Metro Detroit for sure, and it's great that it's still around. So,
Just call me a relic.
yeah. So now you guys have been playing live shows for quite some time. What are some of your favorite experiences that you've had? It could be honestly just as a band as the Creeping Chaos, maybe something that wasn't. Maybe it was a busking show. Maybe it was just playing an individual show.
Opening up for the bands I used to listen to back in the 90s and 80s. Faster Pussycat, Jackal, all those cats.
Nice.
Man, it's awesome.
Nice. Yeah. When were you able to open up for them?
2000 Token. All these are
Okay.
Token Lounge.
Yeah, he puts on some great shows.
That's our home away from home for sure.
Yeah, I think it was 2018, maybe 19, but I don't know.
I don't know the
Well,
exact years, and everything's kind
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been so long at this point.
It's so much fun, and it all just blurs kind of. It's like it's hard to like really pin down when some of them were, but yeah, that is one of the huge things. I agree with you on that. Like getting open for these people that we grew up listening to. Like Power Man was one of the biggest ones, and getting to meet him and all that was great too.
I mean, Tammy was walking, behind Token with a little wiener dog, and I'm like, dude, that's it, man.
Yeah, and you're playing with them too, so that's gotta be a huge feeling.
John 5 signing our stuff for us.
Oh yeah,
One of the nicest people.
Oh, he's so good.
Such a nice guy.
He's I've heard he's a nice guy. He's so talented. Like that, he's so good.
Very accommodating.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of times.
But I mean, the best one for me, and what I feel is the Riff Fest show. And that was your first time
Hey,
seeing
I was
that?
Yeah, actually,
there.
that was the first time I saw you.
You were there.
Before I was in the band, I was there.
Yeah, I was there too.
That was just cool. I mean, for a lot of different things. One is like you're driving in there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and there's nobody in the
Yeah.
You see a complete
It's
empty
huge
thing at
venues,
Pine Knob
empty.
now, but at that time it was still
DTE,
and stuff. But the cool.
We
thing-
let him know it was Pine Knob.
Yeah, you did. But like just playing, and then you look out and you just see all these people just.
Oh, it was a
rushing
pretty big
in.
crowd too.
And
Like it was.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, it
that
was
was
no
probably
joke.
like the sickest show
Yeah.
so far.
No, and it was a good sound. That was a good sized stage. I liked it.
Little cool piece of trivia we found out after the fact, the rig we were playing on that parking lot stage was Metallica's old travel rig.
Oh wow.
during the
Yeah,
Black tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember their names, but shout out to those sound guys.
Yeah, those guys
Yeah,
were great
that's
and they
huge.
were awesome people too.
Oh,
let me
it was
tell you,
great sound.
Just
That was at
buy
that
the
show.
sound
We miss
guys
them.
lunch and maybe throw them a doob now and then. Just like that, and you get
Yeah, just make him feel cared about. Because everyone, like, right off the rip is probably
Yep.
already giving him a hard
Oh,
time.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, you're the sound guy? It's like,
Yeah.
fuck you. Walks away.
that's just
Yeah.
a general rule of thumb and stuff like that. But yeah, that show was super super cool. But we played cool shows.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, Dockin, Faster Pussycat, Jackal, the Power Man show
That
was
was
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Doyle.
Wednesday 13, Doyle a couple times.
Wednesday 13 was
A couple
a
times.
really cool one. We
Yeah.
had a great response at that show. I hope we get to do that again because he was a really great dude to work with too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One festival I miss is Dirt Fest. You guys
Yeah.
remember that?
Oh yeah.
Dirt Fest was the biggest show I ever played.
Yeah, I
already
got to
opened
play
up
it
for
when
that
I was
one
first
time.
starting out. I was
Yeah.
in a band called The Finale a long time ago, and
Mhm.
we got to play it, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is my dream come true.
Yeah, my buddy Matt Dalton's the one that
Yeah.
used to put that on.
Yeah, I
so,
remember.
Yeah.
man,
Before it
I
moved,
know
like
that.
it was in 2 different locations, right? This was at the original location it got to play. So
Yeah, it was a fun festival.
Actually, Matt Dalton previously owned the studio. We recorded all 3 of our albums.
Yeah, Metro's 37, and then
Rock Hill Sound.
Yep.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. I still talk to him regularly.
Shout out to Ryan Arini for a great job on all 3 albums.
Yeah.
Tom Drizzle.
Yeah.
T Driz.
So you have 3 albums, which is a big accomplishment. So what would you say, like, out of like recording the albums, like, first of all, which one like hits hardest for you? Which one's your favorite? And then also just like tell us about some experiences like in the studio that you had, that were fun and things.
3 albums, 3 different drummers.
Okay.
That's the first thing that
you can only
stands
speak
out.
for one.
So that's the main thing that stands out.
Yeah.
You know, dude, I'd be cut off.
No, you're kidding me. You're not cutting me off. That's fine. We're all supposed to talk. I think that the newest album really is my favorite because this feels like what I had in my head when I first started working with the original lineup. Because the original lineup's actually a 3-piece lineup between me and, or rather, Mike Stokes on drums, and Mike Stoker on drums, and Kyle Mikulajczyk, who I know a lot of people in the Detroit area know. Kyle.
He'll be on we'll get him down here for an interview.
You should. He's got tons of stories. That guy is a hard worker.
Yeah, he
is a
doesn't
hard
stop.
worker. No, he
He's
doesn't
the hardest
stop.
working out of all of us.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah.
No, but I really feel like this this lineup and the way that we all work together is the easiest that it's been to get songs together.
Yeah.
Because everybody in the group understands what to bring.
Yeah, isn't that nice when that happens? I mean, that's when you know you're in a good group, is like, you don't have to really explain it. It's just like you all just bring your parts.
And
it comes together.
And Dee and I work in another group together called Arcades Project, and we play acoustic guitar together. So we spend a lot of time together. So he and I have been like at the core of it for a long time, and that's like I said, that's part of the reason why this new album was self-titled, because we actually struggled through a couple of titles. I can talk about that. I can talk about that in a minute too if you want. But,
No, that's going to take 3 hours.
but it's one of those things where we kept trying to think of a good one, and I was like, you know what? We don't have a self-titled album. This will be our eponymous album, like, because now this feels like 3rd time's the charm. This is the one that really is going to hit hard, I feel like.
Yeah.
The songs all feel really strong to me.
Yeah.
And people asked us, like, what's your favorite song off the record? And I never know what to tell them, because I really like this album.
My vote was for Dork Butter.
Dork Butter.
For the album title.
Yeah.
We were originally...
But Donnie's got that tattooed across his stomach already. So,
We're going to start asking questions. Actually, years ago, we were doing an interview, and we had just done the 2nd album, and somebody asked us, so you're already working on a 3rd, we heard, and we were already, and we had a different lineup then, but I said, yeah, I think we're looking at calling it Dark Matter. And then this band that you guys might have heard of, they're called White Jelly or something like that. They came along right after we completed the sessions, and they decided that they were going to call their album that. So we had to not only change the title of the album, we had to change one of the title tracks and change lyrics and the song title to it. So we had to go back and redo a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we came up with another name, and then someone's like, oh, that's the name of this band. And I was like, well, all right, fine. You know what? It's the Creeping Chaos. That's the name of it.
I just push through. I'm just like, you know what? There's 8 billion people in the world. Like, we're gonna have the same name. Like, I can't. It's like, is there anything original?
Yeah,
it's
but
like
that particular band is pretty well known. So
Yeah, everybody loves White Jelly.
Yeah, and yeah, if it's like off a big band, yeah, I wrote a song one time. I'm like, yeah, I called the song "Man in the Mirror." And my brother's like, oh, like the Michael Jackson song. I'm like,
Damn it!
no, I'm gonna call it something else.
But that was supposed to happen, Rob. It was meant to be.
It was.
Yeah, well, and like you
Probably
said,
was.
I mean, it felt good. It felt like the songs that have been in your head, and and I know that too. It's like you can, especially when you're like writing in a band with somebody, like it doesn't always like go necessarily like how you might be as say the primary songwriter, but then you don't want to like throw a fork in the road, just be like, well, hey, I'm stepping in, and it's like you still want everyone to breathe and have their creativity. So then that's kind of like how bands almost like naturally like regulate themselves, because it's just like creativity has to flow or else somebody's not going to have fun with it. And then because there's so many bands and we're all trying to make it, like somebody is not going to want to sit around in something they're not having fun in.
Right.
You know, I mean, you could be a paid musician and just go play paid studio gigs and go on tours. That's a different story. But if you want to like really like work with somebody, feel good, like, because they're like energy flows, like we all know it, like when it's flowing, it you could feel it, like there's a difference to it. So it's like that's when it stops feeling like work. That's when it's just like, oh cool, we have band practice today.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm gonna show up. Not like, oh, I still got to drive all the way to band practice later. You know, it's like
Now we only say that because of how early we've been practicing it. On Sunday mornings at
8
10
o'clock
o'clock
on
in
a
the
Sunday.
morning.
oh man, I couldn't even sing it that early in the morning. That's crazy.
But we still look forward to seeing each other and
No,
doing
and that's
it,
what
but
I'm
it's like,
saying.
you
And
know,
then, yeah, oh, well, especially the fact that you're getting together that early and still pulling it off, that means you really like what you're doing. Because if somebody was like, yeah, let's have band practice at 8 in the morning on Sundays, I'd be like,
I can never wait for band practice. I'm always excited when I know they're coming out. So.
because all you got to
Yeah.
do is open up your door and walk 100 feet.
Let the heathens in.
Well, what area are you all from? And
That's that we're scattered.
Yeah.
We were scattered.
Well, I grew up in Livonia, but I live in Garden City now. So
Okay.
And I originally grew up in Garden City, but then years ago, my folks, we moved out to Brighton. And,
Okay.
so that's where I'm
Oh,
at.
so it's a hike.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind. It's not that bad. It's like a half-hour drive.
Mhm.
Don't bother me.
I grew up in Canton, and I live in Southgate now.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Grand Blank.
So you're all
Well,
over the
that's
place.
where I
Yes.
grew up.
Yeah.
I live near-ish Grand Blank, and I kind of go between Ortonville and Rochester, and I come from different locations. Practically.
Well, that's good that you're still getting together and jamming and everything being that far. I mean, it's
When you got a product that you feel is worth the drive, then it's easy
It's
to do
within
it.
an hour,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, and yeah. I mean, nowadays you can play any song we want in the whole world. You got audiobooks, you got podcasts, you got all that. The driving for me is like a little form of meditation. I get on the road, I can just like kind of like, it's just me by myself. I could breathe, I could listen to whatever I want. I could sit there in silence. So yeah, it's not bad.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Going for a
like you
drive
said,
ain't
when
that
you
bad.
like the songs, you like the sound, and it's something that's worth it, and that's like why this is like people of passion. I mean, it's like I could tell you guys are like a passionate group. I don't want to just have anybody on here. Like I'm like attracted to people who are like active in the music scene. Like, there's a lot of people in that are in our shoes, but they just like they'll sit around, they'll record a couple songs, like, well, why isn't this happening for me? And it's just like then there's
Oh, yeah.
others of us who out there are actually trying to make it happen because we have like passion for it. So I want to make sure that like this channel is here to like help, artists like you just get any bit of extra exposure that we could all get. And then, just getting to meet awesome people. So,
I love it.
It's great networking.
yeah.
And it feels like a lot of people too nowadays because it's easy to like email like tracks to each other and things like that for a lot of people, and we don't really do that.
Yeah.
People say like, "Are you guys just doing everything through?" No, we're
No, you
going to a
have to be
studio.
in
We're going to get
person
together
and-
and
It
play.
feels sterile to do that,
Oh, yeah.
there's
I
no
mean-
mojo.
I mean, if you already jammed it out like 20 times at a practice and said, hey, let's try to get a good recording of this and maybe sent it around, but like you have like writing process wise, like that energy, like people are feeding off of each other, like you could see it coming. Like, I mean, there's been times where like we finished a song on like this hit, and it's like you wouldn't know that was coming if and it wouldn't sound natural if you tried to duplicate it.
I'm going to name drop a band real quick. They're called North of Never.
Mhm.
And I used to do a radio show, and we did a song roulette, and the song came out, and it was completely badass. And I messaged them, and long story short, they ended up calling in, and we did a quick interview with them. These guys started right before COVID, the New Year's before COVID. They met up in Vegas. They're all from, again, we're talking around the country. I think one was from Texas, one was from Vegas, and one was from like New York or something. I don't know their exact locations, but they made this completely badass album just from going back and forth. So it
Yeah.
can be done.
No, it can be. There was a
can
band
be
when
done.
we were younger
Sure,
called
and-
Postal Code too.
Yeah,
They
and-
like mailed around
and
their tapes.
When they told me that at first, I'm like, there's no effing way.
Yeah.
There's no effing way. And they've never jammed in the room together, and that was the thing. And then it just made my jaw drop. I'm like, there's no freaking way.
Yeah.
But enough
No,
about
no,
them.
yeah.
But hashtag North of Never.
Yeah,
Check
no,
out
it's,
their
well,
badass.
it's a cool concept. Like a lot of people are like, oh, today's day and age, wow, technology. I love it. Like I do love being
sure.
there. We're gonna record this talk. It's gonna be on the internet. Anybody
And I
across
hate
the
to
whole
say it,
world
but I
can see
think
it.
I
Like,
think
that's great.
COVID actually had a lot to do with a lot of the changes and stuff.
Yeah,
like
It
that.
forced people to figure
forced
it out.
people- right.
Yeah, there's other people who just never wanted to touch it, and then now, you know, it's like for me, like as a musician, I mean, we've all played pretty big shows, but then like, all right, cool, like what if, you know, hopefully one of these live recording videos get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views.
No.
That's how many shows did you have to play in front of 100,000 or a million people. So it's like, it is a cool way to be able to like try to get our art out there, as much as like it kind of stings to have to like be a content creator. It's also still just a form of art. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. Is just like, well, that's the, you know, same way I see you guys are like, you make your content, you post your Instagram videos and stuff. It's just like, well, try to think of it as like art.
Yeah.
Ignore like the last minute fact that you have to post it, and then like then you can at least like kind of get in the zone and try to like make something cool and like like put a flair on it, and it doesn't feel so like robotic. Like, hey, I'm posting this. It's like, you know, you get to play with lighting and different camera techniques and like that backdrops and scenery, and so it's like for any musicians out there, like, I know it stings, but, you know, try to make some content, try to get yourselves out there. I'm honestly always on Instagram and YouTube looking for like new local bands and stuff. So there are people like us out there that are looking for it. So if you need any advice, that's another thing that this channel's for, is just for any musicians out there when it comes to recording, tracking, video mixing, anything. I'm not the greatest at it, but I'm here to help in any way that I can. So drop a comment below if you have any questions on how we're kind of getting this stuff done. So I like to talk about all the fun things that are about a band, but also I've been there, some negative stuff happens. So what are some of your least favorite moments and least favorite things that have happened, like in the history of the Creeping Chaos, just in music in general? You know, maybe each of you share a little something.
Technical failure?
That's really the biggest thing that ever happens with us.
It's the worst,
when my
right?
snare fell over mid-set.
Oh,
That
God.
was cool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we had, was that the Tommy Clafetta show where like the whole, your leg fell down?
It wasn't let's just say it wasn't a show that I wanted something like that to happen.
Yeah.
There's certain shows that have a smaller audience. It's like, all right,
Yeah, I was
you
looking
can
at
have
that.
a little malfunction, but
Yeah, it was
you
a
know.
big show, and then your snare falls over.
Or you have a
Just play
string.
through it.
You have a string that just dumps and goes like out of tune, and you don't realize
one
it until
time,
you've been playing for 5
Yeah.
minutes.
your bass.
Oh yeah, that was when our monster came out, and
We have a monster that comes on stage and kind of skulks around and scares the crowd.
Is that the name of it? Is the monster?
I always
he's now
call,
called Junior.
I used to call it the Star Spawn, but yeah, we've been kind of calling it Junior now.
Junior.
Because there's a new version.
Oh wait, yeah, the CD release goes out like this.
Yeah, his arms were like this for some reason.
So it knocked something over while
It
you
was
were
a
on
new
stage.
design of the outfit, and it kind of part of it came apart. So it was, that was. My dad was helping us out with that one. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
And he got across the stage and got it done with a little help from our other cohort.
Yeah.
Will. But that's usually the biggest problem. Is just like technical things, because even when we have them, this band's always been a band that can go. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, it's like shit happens. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't dwell
You
on
gotta
it too
power
hard
through
after
it.
that. You gotta move on.
Usually I can power through it. Like,
Yeah, the
it's
show
not
must
being
go on.
Professional, but
Yeah.
when it happens, it just makes that show slightly less.
Oh, it
enjoyable.
doesn't matter. You could have played
It's
every
like-
other note perfect, and then it's just like, remember
The
where my
audience
snare
is like,
fell?
whoa, you
Oh,
look
that
like
show,
nothing
my snare
happened.
fell. Yeah, most time the audience is like, I didn't even realize.
You
anything
feel like
was
you're
going on.
messing up so much, and then everyone's like, "Oh, you did wonderful."
They're like, yeah. Well, then
Yeah.
they're like, when?
Very
You know?
forgiving. Very forgiving.
Yeah.
I played a song in the wrong tuning once. That was pretty fun.
Oh.
Like,
that-
especially-
You figured it out and then adjusted though.
Yeah, but it took me a couple.
And that's the other reason I really like covers so much, because if you're playing covers and everybody's looking for you to play note for note, note for note, note for note, but if it's originals and you make one little blip or one little fill that's different,
Yeah.
no one's gonna care because it's your
Right.
song. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's, with the originals, it's like you have a little bit more leeway because
Yeah.
people don't understand where you're about to go. And then also with like playing in the wrong tuning in all of our defense, like generally we don't have the greatest monitor feeds on
Right.
local show stages.
Yeah.
So if you had in-ears, you probably immediately would have been like, whoa!
Yeah,
I'm
but
out.
didn't.
But when
No.
you're playing and everything's rattling and you honestly mostly hear the kick drum beating super hard,
Yep.
like,
Yeah,
the people in the crowd probably definitely knew you were in the wrong tune, unfortunately.
Maybe.
I was gonna say, Donnie over here has been actually performing live longer than all of us, I think, probably. Like really, because you've been in the game a while, so he's probably got all kinds of.
You're a
ropes.
performer.
Yeah.
Groups.
What's your biggest worst experience, I guess, or
Worst
just
experience.
how many mishap has happened?
Oh my gosh.
have a top one, or probably not?
Other than, I mean, it's all my own fault, you know. I overthink, over-prepare. Just, you know what I mean? I get my own. I'm all head.
And your guitar, right? So
I think we're all
pedal
guilty of that.
issues. We got wireless kit issues. I was playing a show at the Diesel, and like I have like a clean intro, and I had all of my cleans were going through a processor through the effects loop, and I just like go to play, like get all epic into it, and like the pedal just so it's like there's no noise coming out, and I'm like. Wow, sweet.
This band that Donnie and I were both in at different points, Dead by Design. I remember our singer Jay one time basically diving backwards into the drum kit one time, which looked great, but also looked very painful.
Yeah, and chipped it every microphone.
My flame over, flame broke the neck. Didn't know till the very last song of the night. It was cracked.
Oh, broke.
But it got fixed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, though. You can always fix it.
Yeah, and you got to just play through it too, because it's like, you know. Well, there's sometimes, you know. I was interviewing one guy. They said on their last song they played that they blew the mains.
Oh,
and they were like the second band on, so like everyone after them, like they had to cancel the whole show. So sometimes it's catastrophic. But
I feel like we had something like that happen one time too, didn't we?
Likely.
I think so.
My old band back in the day, we were playing at a place called Floyd's down on Fort Street in Detroit, and we blew out the power twice in the same night.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was our fault or their fault.
It's like a compliment, though. Like, you got to be like, well, duh, we rock that hard. You know? It's like when something like down here falls off a shelf, it's like, oh, yeah. Like, you know, it's like...
Jay's a great vocalist, though, too, and a great showman. You know, I learned a lot from him, like, as far as, like, crowd work kind of stuff, because I used to always be, like, kind of like, I just was over here, and I just play the song, and go on and stuff.
Yeah, you got to, like, almost, like...
Be a carnival
study
marker.
it. You have to, like... Just take that's why we have influences, but it's just like in order to figure it out, like I've always wondered, like, how do these people do it? It's like, well, it's all just there are some super like out there guys who invented the game, but like I've like studied it. Like, how do I want to act? How do I want to look on stage? Like, because it's
what
like,
would Lemmy do?
Yeah, it's like it's still an art form, so it's like like, you know, sometimes some people have it naturally, but then you got to also develop it. You also have to like feed off of each of your bandmates together on when you're gonna do stuff, and like you guys all do that really well too. Like you don't run into each other. Like you look pretty close.
We asked a couple times.
I mean, we know the guys from Faded, like we were talking about earlier. Like those guys like put on a show. Like they know where they're going. Like you guys are like that. Our band, we're getting there, you know. But it's like
Wonder Twin Powers activate is what Dad's got going on.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so like so that can be a segue into like maybe explain like your creative process, because you guys do put on a show. So like, is this like something where you sit down at a table and you write down ideas? Are you practicing it in a jam space? Is it all on the fly?
I wouldn't say there's one method.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Every song was written differently. Like, for instance, Hounds, you just had a riff, and I was there at practice, and I came up with a pattern.
And then it just stems from there, and then you just build out the live show around that.
It can start with a riff. It could start with like a lyric scheme, or even just like humming something, or sometimes somebody will just do something and we'll all be sitting there and nobody will be saying anything for a second, and we'll be listening to the person, and then it's like, okay, I'll start doing this, and then it builds up, and then it turns into something, or it doesn't.
A lot of them were old songs I've had. Dead in the Water was a perfect example of that. That was a riff I had from like 2002 or 3.
Yeah, you never let them go. Now it's great with phones, because you just. I mean, that's why I have like 4 phones I haven't gotten rid of, because they just have old riffs on them. I'm like, I gotta get these on a computer before I get rid of them. You know, it's like, but
the last track on the new album, Shadows Out of Time, is actually a rewrite of the first song I ever wrote.
Is it really?
Yeah.
There's an old Bob Dylan.
That's probably my favorite song on the album.
It was originally called Ragnarok, and I wrote it back in. I was 17 when I wrote it, and I'd never used it.
Wow.
And it was originally about like Norse mythology, when the end of the world was supposed to happen, and the lyrics were all different. I changed a little bit of the music for this one because I felt like there was something not right about it all this time, and then I was like, oh, what if we do this? Okay, now I like it, and everybody else seemed to like it, and so I was like, all right, I gotta make this so it's Lovecraft stuff, not Norse mythology, and so and it wasn't really that tough. And actually, some of the rhyme scheme is very similar to the original one, too.
Nice. Yeah, there's a Bob Dylan quote where he says some of the greatest songs aren't written, they're rewritten.
That's
You know, because-
absolutely
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, I really had a lot of
Absolutely.
fun rewriting or helping with Whenever You're Ready.
Yeah, that one's.
'Cause you had sent me
lot
a
of fun.
draft, and it was just a very, very, very ancient.
Yeah, so yeah, done at home and
Yeah.
me playing everything, which that's, if anything's going to ruin a song, that'll do it. Me playing
Yeah.
everything. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun to like kind of put like what you had over the top of it because there's still gonna be like a little if somebody was like an original songwriter, it's like, well, the song sounds a certain way. Like we all like
Like-
a song has its own identity like once it's written, but then
Yeah.
it puts your flair on it.
Like the idea is there, the
Yeah.
bare bones is there. You just have to take it and make it sound like it's supposed to sound.
Yeah, like you
know?
can't take a slow part and just put a blast beat on it.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you play that slow part? You know, like is there a fill in there? Is it halftime? Is it on the ride? Are you whacking that bell as hard as you can, or are you kind of subtly hitting it? It's like that's like that's why I just love music. It's so magical. It's like there's so many dynamics to it. Like it's not just like what you're playing. It's how hard are you playing it? Like how quick did you get there? Like how quick are you leaving there? And then
What
like
mood
what
are
are
you
you
in?
doing? Yeah, what mood are you in? What are you doing at the same time as them? You know, and it creates like all these different like layers. And then it's like it's one of those things where it's like, you know, they say energy cannot be created nor destroyed, or whatever you put in, you get out. Or but it's like not with music. It's weird. It's like the only thing that's like real magic because it's like you could just one person could move 100,000 people in a crowd. Like so, how's that same amount of energy being put in and putting out? You know, so it's like that's
You're absolutely right. It is. It's like the one true magic is music.
yeah, because it's the only thing that create more energy than it is put into it.
It's just there in the air.
Yeah, yeah.
That is true.
Now, do you have any plans coming up for the band? Big shows? I know you just dropped an album, but some people start the next one right away. Do you have any other like interviews? Just anything you have going on with the band, or even just individually as a musician? I know a lot of us have 2 or 3 things going on.
We usually, when it comes to about this time of the year in the winter, we try to like take a little time to like spend some time with family and stuff like that because we do tend to keep pretty busy during the year. But this is about the time where we start looking into getting stuff booked and everything. And we actually just started working with a company called From the Depths, and they are trying to help us out with kind of branching out into some other areas. We did our first show in Indiana this past year.
Nice.
I had a great time with that. We did a show with Massasauga, another upcoming group and everything like that.
Those
We had
guys
a
are
great
cool.
time. They are. They're cool.
Nuts.
Yeah.
I was like, no way. Anybody watching this, you'll see them one day because I mean,
Some
these,
talented kids.
it's like what 10, 12,
Literal
and
kids.
17.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like and like even like the 17-year-old, the oldest brother is like freaking chiseled, like ripped. I'm like, dang, like this dude's like picking everything up and setting it down. And then
Yeah.
like all the kids are really talented at music. They have like the look. They have the
Every picture of the bass player, he's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
this kid isn't quite 5 feet like
Yeah.
tall. He's got like
Baseball
a 6
is-
foot vertical
you
leap.
know, baseball,
Yeah.
he's jumping all around.
Yeah.
I love that guy, dude.
yeah.
I love that kid.
Massasauga, right?
Massasauga.
Yeah.
Check that band out.
They just dropped an album yesterday.
Yep.
And then when's your next show? Do you have one on the calendar or?
We're looking at one coming up in February at the Token, possibly. We haven't confirmed it just yet, so fingers
Okay.
crossed for us. And we're kind of fishing right now. We're looking to see what's going up, but we want to try and get on some more festivals this year and try to, like I said, we're trying to branch out and get outside of our comfort zone.
Maybe head out to the west side of the state. We
Yeah.
got some connections like in Grand Rapids and stuff like that.
That'll be
That'll
fun.
make-
Festivals are fun because when you get done, you go to the festival.
Yeah, we just recently
I mean,
we just
going
recently acquired a tour vehicle,
Oh, nice.
so we can actually we can go places now and we
yeah,
don't
lock
have-
everything up when you're done.
Yeah,
and have it all stored.
stuff all safe, and we can do it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we're
the chaos camper.
the chaos camper.
Oh, it's that old like driving camper or?
It's one of those Jayco
Motorhomes.
motorhomes.
Nice.
It's cool.
It's a tour bus.
It's tour.
Yeah, I mean that's what stops most people from heading out. Is like, well, how do you take 3 cars, 4 cars? You all drive,
We can do it. We can just go to a park and ride for the night if we have to. We're
Yeah.
good. So yeah.
Honestly, Rob and I, our other project, our cover band project, is we have I think like 11 shows or 10 more shows booked until March. So we got
Okay,
more
what
going
kind,
on
what
with
kind of
that.
cover band is that?
Not what you hear on the radio.
No. We started
Some
off
of
with just the 2 of us as the acoustic stuff, and then now we're kind of you know, with the advancements and pedals and stuff like that, we're now kind of a three-piece rock band. We got a guy that, you know, Stoker plays.
The original drummer from Chaos is now,
you know, he plays electric drums. But we do everything from Elton John and Jim Croce to Rage Against the Machines, Metallica, and
Blue Oyster Cult.
But we do like
Marshall Tucker Band.
Yeah, we do like the B-sides, like the deep cuts and stuff.
Okay.
And then we take about half the money we make doing that, we donate it to this band.
Yeah.
So we can do more stuff. So
Side hustle.
one hand
The
washes
side
the
hustle.
other.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is, a side
It's a
hustle.
side hustle.
Yeah, it's a side hustle to your side hustle.
exactly. Yeah.
And it's also
Other
like
bands do get paid.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it, like, you know, like we're like sitting here struggling to get paid as original band stuff. It's like, yeah, but if we just did like grunge covers, like we could probably make money on the weekends doing it, or
kind
you
of
know,
sad, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, what we do like at that point too is you start that and kind of like what Dead by Design did originally. Dead by Design was originally a cover band, and then they started writing their own stuff, so they would just mix in their own stuff.
yeah, and then you get the exposure, because
And
then
you get the
someone's like,
exposure
"Cool,
from
I'm going
there.
to see
That's
this
how-
Alice in Chains cover band." You squeeze 4 originals in, and like,
Yeah.
ah, gotcha,
Exactly.
check out our
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? It's just like staying busy too. Covers are fun. Like I don't, you know, we always try to throw a cover in all of our sets, just because it's like it sucks to say it, but like if we kill it on a cover, like we do like Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, we do actually
That's
a
a
little
good
bit.
song.
We do a little bit heavier actually, or believe it or not,
Yeah.
than they do. It's not as like whiny, so it's like kind of in your face, and then like people be like, "Oh hey, you guys are that band that does that cover of Break Stuff,"
Yeah.
and it's like, but you remembered us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
like so. It's like at least when you throw the cover in there, they know the song. So then we used to cover Chocolate Salty Balls. It'd be the same thing. Like, oh, you guys are the band that covered Chocolate Salty Balls. So
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah. What's our name? And they're like, I don't really remember.
I remember you doing that. Though.
Right. So it's like, yeah, but covers are fun, and then they keep you getting better at music. Like that's honestly like where I've plateaued at music is like my brother tells me all the time, like, dude, start learning songs, because then you like it segues you into like the next technicality. Like, oh, this song's hard for me to learn, so let me learn it, because then I'm gonna learn. You know, so it's like covers. We get our influences from somewhere. So yeah, you play in a fun cover band, then all of a sudden you write a cool original. Maybe it had something to do with that cover band. So
Right.
I really
We
like
do
that.
a pretty good cover. We actually recently we played "Cold" by Static X just off the cuff one day at practice, and we might throw that in one day. It was kind of cool.
I look forward to it. I mean, honestly, it's like you know, I usually remember a band by the cover that they did or whatever, and
That's true.
it's like you make it your own. Don't just go up there and sing karaoke.
No,
You know, like it's like it's,
I can't say that Hounds wasn't inspired by Motorhead.
Oh no, absolutely.
I can't
Yeah.
say that.
One of my buddies loves that song, and which something funny when you were talking earlier about the writing process. We're gonna be playing Hounds for you in a little bit here.
Yeah.
We were recording I have a setup at home where we can record and everything like that to do like demos of things. Then we can take them to the real place and like you work off of it.
yeah.
We had played it a couple of times through, and I was like, all right, we got it down pretty good now. Let's go ahead and record it. We did it, and then we got to this one spot after the first chorus got done, and Donnie continued playing it because we were supposed to continue playing it, and Stacy stopped because she thought we were supposed to stop there, and she looked up and realized, oh, we're still going, and then started back up, and now that's how the song goes.
Yeah.
So there's
I
a break
love
in the
that.
song, and it sounds like, what happened?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I love when the little mistakes stay in the
accidents
song.
happen.
happy accidents.
Yeah, happy accidents. Yeah, I mean, and it's because like you would have just been so strict on yourself to like follow it a certain way, and
We're
then
the
it just
Bob
adds
Ross
this
of rock music.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, and
It's a happy little timing break right here.
and it's such a fun time to write together, and like even when the mistakes do happen, it's just hilarious. If we have like if we videoed all of our stuff, there'd be so many like blooper reels, or you know, it's like there was one time where I had some guy. He was like giving me shit about my bass drum mic, and it's like it's not like a $1,000 bass drum mic, but it's like a pretty good higher end bass drum mic, and like I'm like kind of like getting irritated, and I'm like, you know, like getting short, like, man, why is this guy giving me so much shit about this? And then I realized, because he had in-ears in, and then I realized after like this whole recording session that I forgot to plug the microphone in. So it's like, all of a sudden I'm just like cracking up, and he's like, what? And I'm like, it just wasn't plugged in, man. It wasn't plugged in. He's like, I told you it sucks. Because he's like, I can't hear it.
It can't get much worse than no signal at
Yeah,
all.
but it's just like, you know. It sucked. We were recording for like 2 hours
Oh my
without it,
gosh.
but
Thanks, hate it.
yeah, but yeah, the mistakes. That's where blooper reels come in, and the fun stuff, and then the fun. Then sometimes they turn into ideas, and you keep it, or like it's, you know, we were jamming a song the other night at band practice. It was like I wrote this one riff, and then my brother was kind of joking around playing it backwards. It was like, oh, that's definitely going to be another song, you know. But it started as like a joke, so it's like, yeah, you just like you just take those little mistakes and just roll with them.
This record too was one of the first times where we did multiple takes of the same song and did it differently because we weren't sure how, because we had done it, like rehearsed some of them and tried different things. So actually when we were laying down the drum tracks, I remember you tried about like 3 or 4 different actual styles for a couple of the songs when we were doing them, and we were like, yeah, I don't know, like just keep doing that, and then we'll do another one, and then try that other thing you were doing before. And then what ended up happening is we kind of Frankensteined it together.
Yeah, I was going to say to you.
Now the way that we know it is like, yeah, that's how that needed to sound. And if we hadn't had that ability to try that and have those options, it might not have come out as good as it did.
Yeah, I think just modern home recording setups are so great for writing for that too.
Yeah,
like, because
definitely.
it's like you could play that 4 or 5 different ways like live, but like by the time you play it the third way, it's so hard to remember what the first way sounded. Where like being able to record it, you can go back and play them all.
And that's what is good about having the organic flow through of having everybody there.
Yeah.
So you got people to bounce off of. Donnie's always bringing in a cool riff here and there he's like, we got anywhere we can put this? And usually we do.
Just like pulls out of his pocket here.
Like, he's our riff master. Donnie does like some of the most blistering solos I've ever heard. And like, I wish I would remember to turn on the recorder more often when we're just getting ready, because when he's just warming up, it just hears.
That's usually when they come out too. That's why it's like I'll try to cue it up before the band even gets here, because yeah, it's like usually when you're like not, because it's like once you start thinking is like when the riff chokes up. It's like when it's kind of like just like loosely flowing out is when like the cool stuff pops up because you're not trying. Yeah, I mean it's like, but go figure. Like there's so much irony and like coincidences in the world. It's like the sweetest riffs always happen when you're not recording, or you know, like the funniest stuff happens when you're not videoing. It's like
24-hour surveillance camera.
exactly. It's pretty much. I feel like that's what some people are doing nowadays. So, with all of your content and everything like that, like what are the means that you like to put it out? I know we talked about it earlier in the video, but I do kind of like trying to towards the end of the interview like to have you explain like your different channels, your different pages, and feel free, any of you, if you have any side projects going on, to also shout it out. And then in the YouTube description underneath this video, you're going to see like all their links, all their websites, or whatever they're about to tell you about.
Well, our main one is we have thecreepingchaos.com, and if you go there, then you can see all of our links there too, and that goes to our Spotify, our Instagram, our YouTube channel, which our YouTube channel we're trying to do more stuff on now. We're doing this fun little vignette thing that we're doing now that's just kind of supplemental material, which not sure where exactly it's going at the moment, but that's what we're doing. We're experimenting with it, trying to have something fun, just something extra.
There's some cool fun videos
Me
on
getting
YouTube.
hung by Quakers.
Yes, yeah. We just dropped one of Stacy getting hanged. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
So
Donnie eating
Definitely check it out.
Yeah.
I don't have stuff that eventful on my
yes,
page.
Donnie is a time traveler. Technically.
You know,
Yes.
good one, always waiting on that guy at practice. Like, where's Donnie at? You know, where's the late guy?
He's probably on his way. He's probably on his
That's no
way.
joke. I'm late. I'm late. All the time.
And if this theory worked, it would be awesome.
Well, you could always like just like you all say that band practice is at like 6.
Oh,
Tell
trust
him
me,
it's
man.
at
We've
5.
done it.
There
ain't nothing we ain't thought.
He's actually been on time.
In the morning, early practices, I've been on time.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine
And that's
that.
one of the reasons why we're doing them earlier now, is because he's on time.
Nice.
And then I'm usually late.
Yeah.
And I'm always the guy that if you're earlier on time, if you're on time, you're late.
I don't mean to be picking on you. But
Oh no!
No,
I can't
we're
help
not
it.
picking it.
I don't know why I'm always late. I just am. I try to fix it. I can't fix it.
I live on the property, and I'm the last one out there sometimes.
You like live an hour. You're like leave an hour and a half early, and then like all of a sudden there's just a traffic jam and just adding like 1 hour and 32 minutes. You're like,
There was 12 people in front of me at Speedway, bro. I couldn't get my Krispy Kreme.
My problem is time. I think it takes me 12 minutes to get 50 minutes to Rob's house.
yeah.
It's also we've had a lot of construction out by me the last 2 years.
Yeah, that a little section of road.
Yeah, I have to
Right
give you,
by your house.
I have to give everybody in this group a lot of credit for dealing with the construction that's been around my area because it's a pain.
Yeah.
It
We
is
live
a
in
pain.
Michigan, dude.
It's nonstop.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
If they don't fix them, they're not going to get fixed, right? Right.
And so are your handles just like the creeping chaos for the most part?
Yeah.
Yeah,
everything?
usually it's the creeping cat. We don't put like official after stuff like that because there's not really a
They
lot.
are the official.
Yeah, we are the
Right.
Yeah.
We know who
yeah.
they are.
The best way to really like come find everything is
Written on my underwear.
to go to the .com and see like what we've got there, and we keep it updated pretty regularly when we've got stuff going on and everything like that. And like I said, the new album's on Spotify if you want to go there, but I really recommend going to Rock of Ages and buying the album because it has a full booklet with all the lyrics, and you can't beat the CD quality.
Yeah, and they have so much other cool stuff there to check out too. So it's like go
But
up
you
there.
can also
and
order
you're-
from the website, right? The store.
If you email us, we'll mail you one too. And then there's also, we have an online store where you can get merchandise and stuff like this, as you can see, and
swagged out here.
a couple things that you can't get at the table. But then we also have stuff at the table that you can't get on the website. So that's another reason why you should definitely get out to a show when you see us.
All right, so I got one more little chunk for you guys, and this is something new that I want to do, and this is just something that I want to end each of my segments with. But so I want each of you, and it doesn't matter who you say it for, but everybody try to say something. Kind of like, what's one thing you like about a particular person in the band? Like, what do you think that like they bring to the table? What's something special? I didn't want you guys to really rehearse this question, so it's a little bit more authentic. But it could just be anything from a sense of humor to creative quality or something like that, or just something just like what keeps you coming back as like members like with each other, and it doesn't have to be anybody in particular. I just like to hear this from each of you.
Anybody want to go first?
That's a really right hook question, man.
Mm-hmm.
Total props on that.
Yeah.
Rob and I mean, we're just we're best friends. So
Best Friday.
so
There's a joke there.
I mean, we all are. I mean, Donnie and I have known each other for a long, long time. But the cool things that I like, especially about this specific lineup, because I was on album 1, 2, and 3. Rob's ideas and how he writes and stuff like that. You just kind of like, I can link with it. You know what I'm saying? I get it kind of like where he's coming, especially after coming up to the third album. Is you from the first two is like you kind of know the structure of the area that he's going now.
Mm-hmm.
So the relationship that I have with him is almost I can almost
like
read his mind at
telepathic
times.
almost, yeah.
Donnie, he just comes. He's like that quiet / dangerous person. I seriously, and what I mean is like stand back, because he's gonna show you something. You know what I'm saying? Whether his shredding guitars and his solos and stuff like that, he's that quiet guy, but when that fuse lights and ignites, it's gone.
Yeah.
Stacy's like the quiet little sister that I'd never had but always wanted. I mean that in a very, very loving and big brother type way. She's still that quiet person, but she's very thunderous.
Yeah.
They always called John Bonham Thumper or something like that. I think that was Robert Plant's name for him or something like that. But man, she wails, dude, and it's just cool. So like with this group and everybody's creative ideas and how they intertwine to make one great big awesome bowl of spaghetti. It's
Awesome.
freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can top that summary.
I mean,
Well,
it's kind of
Give it a try. It doesn't have to.
Donnie's very, very creative with the solos, and I always have fun jamming to him, and it kind of inspires me. I kind of go off him very well.
Nice.
And Rob is a mastermind with writing.
Thank you.
I sincerely think that.
I
can usually kind of get a
double-
feel of what he's going for when he shows me an idea, and I'm able to write pretty efficiently, pretty smoothly with him. So, and he gives me creative freedom to do kind of what I want. I have a lot of influences, and I'm able to kind of integrate everything that I know theory-wise into this.
That's
band,
awesome.
so.
You can like breathe with your creativity.
Yeah,
it's just
and-
it's natural and feels good.
Yeah, and Dee is very blunt. And I like that about him a lot.
And
He's always, I always know he's telling me the truth.
Yeah.
He's very
Yeah, that's one thing about blunt
so.
people is like, it's, well, you just get
Well,
one, you just get the truth, so.
Hey,
Yeah.
brutal honesty, man. You need
Yeah.
it.
I need people like that in my life.
Yeah,
Sugarcoat
brief
nothing.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a, yeah.
To me, this is a finished product. You know what I mean? I seen these guys when they first started, and then they went to the drummers. Stacy comes, and it just it's like third album. This
almost
is
like a
the
pyramid.
finished. This is the
pyramid?
chaos. This is creepy chaos.
Yeah.
Like Rob said, was his vision.
Yeah.
That's what I like about this group.
Mm.
This is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so it just feels natural.
Yeah, everybody's awesome at what they do.
And having somebody like Rob, who is, and I'm not just saying this, and I know, he's very talented, from his songwriting to his drawing to his the instruments that he plays. I mean, many people don't know, especially in Chaos, but dude, he's a freaking amazing harmonica player.
All right.
He can play the bass, he can play the piano or the keyboards and stuff like that, and he can fiddle around with the drums. I mean, you got somebody that has, that creativeness in his head. I like to say in life, there's doers and there's talkers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And when he comes up with an idea, he's a 100% doer.
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't just sit back and talk his shit and say, hey, I could do this, or hey, I'm gonna do this. It's, hey,
I did this.
I did
Yeah.
this.
So
Now it's your turn. Take over. Here's the ball. Take on.
yeah,
And that's
it's like Nike. It's like just do it.
right.
Just do it.
And when you got a background like that, like I say, it's like the bottom of the pyramid and stuff like that. You got that great foundation, and that people like this that can sit back and just chill and can intertwine with. Again, man, it's a great bowl of pasta.
Bread, your meat, your fruits and veggies, and your dessert.
Yeah.
You make
No
me
cottage cheese though.
hungry. Yeah, no.
No cottage cheese, bro.
I told Rob he was a genius. I was in a band before this. Real quick, I'll say this. He goes, "Don't call me a genius." I go, but he is. He is. And I told him this is the band I stopped looking for years ago. You know what I mean? Because you're searching. You're searching, never gonna find it. I stopped looking for this years ago, and it just.
And that'll keep you together, and that'll make it to where it's always fun.
Well, we've been playing. I mean, like I said, the band just had its 10-year anniversary on December 5th. Rob and I have been playing a year and a half before that, and and I'm gonna probably jinx it right now, but we've never had a blown out argument where it's like fuck you type thing.
Yeah.
You got that brotherhood, and like I say, we're best friends, man.
Yeah.
All of us. It's a team. It's a
All the
family.
team- all the
It's a
teams
family.
worked out, man.
That's
All
great
the
to
teams
hear.
worked out.
It's
You can feel
100%
it
a
when you
family.
see you guys play. So
I have I
Nothing to say after that, right?
I kind of feel kind of bad now.
Why?
I don't know.
You shouldn't.
I don't know.
I mean, there's
That's
nothing to
one
feel
thing.
bad
You
about.
always feel bad about everything.
If I had $1 for every single time he said I'm sorry, that's seriously.
That's him though. That's a good character.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I am really. I feel. Sorry.
Don't
I
cry.
feel. I know. I feel really lucky that. First of all, that I've been able to keep this going for a decade now, but also, I was so impressed with him when I used to come watch Dead by Design back in the day, and to have him working with me now is awesome. And,
Yeah.
And I really feel like Donnie's one of our. I feel like all of them are, but Donnie is like a secret weapon as far as really wowing people.
that was
Sometimes
nice.
I feel like he really knocks it out of the park when we do our live shows, because this guy will drop down on his knees and start banging his guitar on the floor and doing just the showmanship.
And he's only got one good knee.
Yeah, and even that one's only okay. So Stacy's got such a versatile background that her ability to kind of shapeshift from song to song, and also to show respect to the previous people that have been in the group, and even the people that, and I'm still on good terms with
Yeah.
our previous drummers too.
no,
And they
that
have
was really
told
cool
me,
what you did at the show too.
and they have told me
yeah.
that that was a lot of fun
Yeah.
having them come out. But Stacy has done such a good job of respecting the previous material and making it her own at the same time that that's not easy to find.
No, it's not.
Where it's like-
some people want to come and almost just change everything just to change it. It's like, but if it already
Especially
sounded
drummers.
really good, it's like it's not a big deal. Just throw your own fills, your own flair in there, and then all the new stuff you get to write, you know. But it's like, yeah, you can't. The drums are the one thing that can like really change a song. I mean, it's really what like differentiates genres. If you think about it. Like I've been playing a riff, and then like all of a sudden someone just starts playing it in like double time, and it sounds like a punk song. You play it in halftime, it sounds like a slow song. It's like you could change literally a genre just by a drummer taking too much charge.
And also, I really appreciate that Stacy recognized the punk elements in the group that other people have not necessarily seen, and that was one of the first times I was like, okay, she knows what's going on. So, you know, that's important to me that you get that. And
I have a lot of practice playing punk.
You get what we're doing, and and as far as D is just my best buddy, and we just I hope that he and I keep making music for a long time because it's, you know, it's been better than it's been with any other writing partner I've done things with. And for all three of them, I appreciate how they trust me to bring something and work on it and make it the best that it can be, and that they all know what they bring, I think.
Yeah.
And if they didn't have the confidence that they have in what they do, this wouldn't be what it is. Because I can't do this without them.
Yeah, no,
I can't. I can't just do it on my own, and I'm nothing without the group.
Yeah, the Creeping Cast is a group. I mean, there's some people you could tell,
and it really
it's a one guy
like
show
this
or
is a
whatever.
group.
But this is a group.
And there's I mean, it's
and we're friends.
Yeah,
That's another thing too. It's not like we're just people that work with each other. We hang out. You know, we're friends. We meet up, and you know, for holiday things, and we enjoy being around each other.
You have to do
It's
that
important.
because I mean, there's like I was saying earlier, there's 30 million songs a year released on Spotify. Like it's very hard to make it in this business. So more than likely, 99.99999% of us are all probably going to have some kind of day job and do this on the side. And like you have to be friends. You have to like each other. You have to enjoy what you're doing because. You're like, would it be great if somebody came up, tapped you on the shoulder, and said, "Hey, here's a record deal. You're gonna tour the world." Yeah, that would be
Only
a
if
dream
they can
come
go
true.
with me.
Yeah, but it's like at the end of the day, it's more about like just wasting time with people. You know, like I wrote a song one time. One of the lines is, "We live until we die." It's like, but you have to literally live while you're alive. And so it's being around the right people. It's doing the right things. It's being authentic. Like the channel that this is all posted on is called 4,000 Weeks Music. 4,000 weeks is how many weeks the average human lives for. So it's like that's why one of my bands is called 4,000 Weeks, and it's like this is just what I do during my time on Earth. Like this is my 4,000 weeks. You know what I mean?
And that's it. You know, you're doing what you love doing. You know, at the time that you're having it. Okay, so let me kind of elaborate. You know, I could be at the bar, you know, getting wasted or something like that, or I could be at a library reading a book. You know, my passion is music.
Yep.
I make the time to hang out with my friends and play music.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
my zen. That is my depression, or not depression. What I'm looking at.
Depression killer.
Antidepressant.
Antidepressant.
Well,
Depressant.
Depress?
Well, the Japanese have depressant.
That's what I meant to say.
the Japanese have a term called your ikigai, which is your flow state. So it's like when nothing else in the world really like. It's like music is my flow state. Like, and I can tell it's all of yours too. It's like nothing else exists. Like,
and that's,
when you're in the middle of that set, when you're in the middle of that song, like I have very active thoughts. Like I think a million miles a minute. But if I'm in the middle of playing a song, it's the only time during my entire day that all those other thoughts shut off. And it's like I'm just in that.
Exactly. You're in your own little zone.
Yeah.
Like I'll get asked a lot of time from friends at work and stuff like that you know, realize that you're in a band and like, oh, you've done this, you ever get nervous and stuff. It's like, you know, that's the time where I can completely shut everything else out. I don't care about work. I don't care about, you know, if the dog pissed on the carpet. I don't care if, you know, the wife's mad at me because I'm here at the show or doing whatever, you know, I'm just using
just whatever.
That is the time where you can just, you know, I don't know if you want to call it the matrix or whatever, but you're outside of
you're in your flow state.
And you're just
flowing.
in that spot. So that 30, 45 minutes that you're up there on stage and busting your ass doing that funness, you know, I feel that is what it is.
I feel the most in touch with everything when we're working together. It's and I've, like I said, I've worked with actually, I don't think about it all the time, but I feel like I've only worked with good musicians. I don't know how I managed to pull that off, But I always feel like I'm the worst player in the group.
You never want to be the
everybody
best one
else.
in the room.
I'm like, boy, I got a whole lot of great people around me. I'll just stay right back here in the back.
Yeah,
Kinda
it
that's what it
makes you
feels
better
like.
though to be around great musicians.
Yeah, and I never feel better than when that moment is happening, when it's like you're in the middle of a song and you're like, yeah, we did this. This is ours. And then the best part about that is like now it's out there. It's recorded. So I am going to be dead one day. We're all going to be gone one day.
We'll live forever, man.
But this will be there. Yeah. And, for whatever it might be to anybody else, it's there. So it's there for somebody. And I know that there are people that are buying it. There are people that are listening to it. And that, I can't ask for anything better than that.
Yeah, I get. I think Stacy's like this too. If I don't play on stage for a while, I feel it, man.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I've gone like a couple years without a show, and then got back on stage and was like, oh,
it's like part
that's
of
what's
you is
been
missing.
wrong with me.
You don't
Yeah,
realize
like,
what's missing until you
an
go and do
emptiness.
it.
It's the biggest emptiness.
And in my house, you can tell when I need to get back on stage because I think I'm attitude. I'm not gonna say a dickhead or an asshole, like some kind of entity.
Yeah, it's like almost like you could like chop up and break up your stage and like snort it,
Oh,
Need
yeah.
a little stage. You need some stage.
I feel badly for anybody who isn't able to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, anybody can. I've said that in other interviews of mine. Like anybody could play music or do something.
They have to get up and do it though.
Yeah,
again, there's doers,
and I wish more people knew what it felt like, because even just like playing at home or like just like strumming that right chord when you're in that right mood.
Yeah, even that can do it.
Hairs come up.
Oh,
And you're like,
it's magic, man. It's unbelievable, and it never gets old to me.
There's no better feeling I've ever experienced than successfully executing something that me and my friends put together.
Yeah,
it's
it's like
nothing feels better than that.
And when it sounds right, it feels right, and everything. Yeah, I mean there's no drug that can replace that. I mean that's why that's why they say a lot of rock stars get deeply. They say a lot of rock stars get real deep into drugs because being on stage feels like so much of a drug.
They're trying to find something.
They're trying to find something to replace it when you're not on stage. It's insane to me. So definitely don't do drugs though, because we need you guys on stage.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, just break up that stage. Just do a little stage.
This is much better than.
Does coffee count?
Coffee is not a drug. Coffee is a life.
Sometimes it feels like it.
Yeah,
I drink so much of it.
Especially
it's a bean.
Coffee is a safety net.
Yeah. You're like daydreaming about it, and all of a sudden you're like, back in the traffic. It's a beautiful daydream about that cup of coffee.
That's the best sleep in the world, by the way, when you're sleeping and driving.
Yeah.
It's the most dangerous
It's
sleep.
really refreshing.
We don't promote that either.
10 seconds. Well, we're going to get to rocking. So thank you guys so much for coming out for this interview. If you have any questions for the band, throw it in the comments below. We're going to try to get everything answered. And People of Passion is in its infancy stages right now, so you're going to see these videos getting better and better. I strive for perfection, and I never get there, but I want to always keep pushing to get better with lighting and my questions and just getting to know these artists and just helping them get out there. So I'm sure this won't be the only time you see the Creeping Chaos on this show. But for this show, thank you guys so much for coming out. Do you know what songs we're going to be rocking out?
Yes, we do.
I don't.
You want to let the audience know what they're in store for here?
We're going to be doing Hounds. Then we're going to do Whenever You're Ready. And Obscura.
Obscura. So we're going to get 3 songs captured here. You're going to see the interview come out first, and then following that, you'll see some live footage coming out. Follow these guys at creepingchaos.com. All their socials are the Creeping Chaos. They put on an amazing live show. I honestly, if you're not from Michigan and you're in Michigan, try to see if they're playing, because it'll just be something fun to do. So my name is Mike Harnos. I'm in a few different bands, one called Going Nowhere, one called Better Off Broken, one called 4,000 Weeks. I'm obsessed with music, art. It's my passion. So you're going to find a ton of great content on this channel regarding not just musicians, but artists in general, from anything from writers to painters, musicians. I don't care if you do gardening. I think that's a form of art as well. If you're passionate about something artistic, I want to get you in here and talk to you. So if you want to jump on the show, throw a comment below as well. And we're going to get going. This is my 4,000 weeks and what I'm doing with it. What are you going to do with yours?
I'm